Alrighty, guys. So when they first announced Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the animated MCU, or well, MCU Marvel Studios series at the very least, I was actually quite excited because I was saying, oh, what a great opportunity. You know, you don't have to tell the origin story of Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the actual movies because it seems like, you know, we're just kind of getting past that. But, you know, just as an animated series, it would be really fun to see the backstory of that version of Peter Parker. Then more details started to come out about the series, and it was revealed that that series was actually not Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Instead, it was some other multiversal variant of Spider-Man, and there were going to be all sorts of interesting things. So first of all, Iron Man was not going to be his initial mentor. It was going to be Norman Osborn, voiced by Coleman Domingo, Oscar-nominated Coleman Domingo, amazing actor. And then there were going to be characters like Daredevil and Kingpin showing up, and all these other different comic book characters, and his, you know, cast of friends was going to be different. So, you know, as more details started to come out, I became less and less interested in it because then my mind went to the fact of, okay, so then we're just doing another animated Spider-Man series, which is fine, you know, it's great. And my question is really, with the amount of output that Marvel Animation has going for it with What If, which I maintain just got worse and worse and worse and worse as all the seasons went on. And I didn't even like the first season that much, so it wasn't even starting out at a very high place. Marvel Zombies, why? What are we doing here? Marvel Zombies, really? Okay. And then Eyes of Wakanda could be interesting, but again, you know, I don't know. We'll see. And so really just with the amount of output that was going on here, my thought was, why don't we, you know, we could just coalesce all of these resources into making one really spectacular MCU animated film, whether it takes place in Wakanda or it is a Spider-Man origin film, whatever, you know, just quality, right? Quality over quantity. So then the first trailer for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man came out about a month ago, and I did a segment on that episode, that week's episode of the Access Blockbusters Pod, where I talked about, I said, look, I don't know. I watched the trailer, didn't look that good to me. I enjoyed X-Men 97, to be fair, but I didn't love it as much as everyone else did. And I don't know what Marvel Animation is doing. Again, quality, you know, over quantity, in my opinion, especially here, because we've been saying that for a while for the live action stuff in the MCU, but it just didn't make sense to me. But again, I always say this too on the channel. I go into every single thing, movie, TV, whatever, with an open mind, right? Doesn't matter what the critic reactions are. If I'm going to go see it, I'm going to try to get as much enjoyment out of it as I can while still being, you know, critical in the sense of I'm not going to lie to myself and say, oh, I love this film even if I, you know, actually hate it. So that all being said, the first critic reactions for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man are out. And actually the series is coming out pretty soon. It's coming out in about a week. And they're really good. Now, to preface all that, you know, or to preface these reactions, because we're going to look through some of them and then see what, you know, some of the critical consensus seems to be. But just to say, generally speaking, unless your film is really bad, like really, really, really bad, in which case the studios don't even lift the embargo until right before anyway, so you don't even hear about these. But generally speaking, critical reactions are positive. Like the initial reactions, right? The very, very first reactions are generally positive. So it's kind of a thing where you'd rather be in the situation where, yes, like, of course you'd want the first critic reactions to be positive because that increases the likelihood that people, you know, actually are going to really like the show, but it doesn't always guarantee that. So I want to just give that caveat right up front just to say that it doesn't mean that Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is going to be amazing, you know, and by amazing, I just mean critically, right? It doesn't mean that everyone's going to love it. But again, you'd rather be in this situation than not. So let me just go through these. I have an article pulled up from The Direct, and we're just going to read through some of the comments here from the critics and see what people are saying. So this first one up, and I'm not going to really read through who said what. I'm just going to read through some of the comments and see if we can pull some threads. So Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, this is the first one. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is so good, extremely fun and action-packed with great character work. It quickly carves out its own space in a very crowded landscape of Spidey cartoons. Okay, Marvel has outdone itself, adding real substance to a very stylish show. Loved it. Very positive. Okay, next one up. I can happily say that Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is super good. From the first episode, I was on the edge of my seat. That's interesting because this show doesn't seem like it's one where you'd be on the edge of your seat. It seems like it could at the very best be fun and entertaining, but tense and tension-filled. Interesting. Okay, continuing on. I love the animation, the top-tier voice acting, and the fantastic action throughout all 10 episodes. That's another very encouraging thing, actually, about these critical reactions, is that it seems like these critics, got all 10 episodes. And so that's good, right? Because, you know, we've seen it before. For example, She-Hulk. You know, you get the first 3 episodes and people like it. I like the first 3 episodes of She-Hulk, you know, generally. And I don't hate the show as much as most people did, but it seems like for most people, and myself included, there was a drop-off after that. So even Moon Knight, for example. Moon Knight, I think the first couple episodes were amazing. And then the show kind of tailed off from there. So it's good to see that these critics got the, you know, the full length of the show. So let's see. The next reaction here is praising Coleman Domingo. This part is dedicated to the incomparable Coleman Domingo. No stranger to voice acting. Domingo's performance as Norman Osborn in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is outstanding. 10, 10, 10 across the board. Again, what else could you expect from an amazing actor like Coleman Domingo? Next reaction, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man features some snappy comic book inspired animation. It's great to hear. A banger opening theme, nice, and some top-notch voice acting. While I feel like Spidey navigating high school is getting redundant, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man thankfully offers just enough to keep the story fresh. So this is one that's, has some positive things to say, but it may be a little bit more lukewarm here than compared to other ones. This next one here, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is really a really good Spidey story. This take on Peter Parker is authentic and a great combination of comic book and MCU lore. Ending eps are awesome. It doesn't reach the depths of X-Men 97, but it's one of Marvel Animation's better entries for sure. In my opinion, that's not a super high bar, but it's good. Good to hear. Next one, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is going to be a hit with Marvel, especially Marvel Comics fans. There is so much packed in from fan favorite characters to Easter eggs from issues. A perfect show for families, not too kiddie, not too adult. Okay, that gives you a sense of the tone. I also wonder, by the way, just, in comparison to, because you can't help but make these comparisons to something like Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, those Spider-Verse films, how it compares, because it seems like people are saying similar things of really comic accurate and fun animations and a cool style and a great take on Peter Parker and whatnot. So I'm curious to see, if there are any parallels running between those two properties. Next reaction up, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is spectacular. Nice reference to Spectacular Spider-Man. Anyways, all 10 episodes deliver an electrifying web-slinging adventure with a fresh art style and amazing voice acting. It brings some of the best Spider-Man stories to life. Every episode packs enough surprises to keep you hooked. Okay, good. That's good. I'm just going to read a couple more here. This person says, I watched Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and loved it, all caps, loved. The animation feels like classic Lee/Ditko comics, and Hudson Thames, I don't know, is perfect as Spidey. I love the heartfelt, down-to-earth moments. He's really protecting the neighborhood. That's fun. I like that, kind of aspect as well. Let's read maybe how many more in this article. There's three. There's three more. So let's read all three of them, and then we'll be done with the reactions, and I'll give some thoughts. So, I watched all 10 episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and had a blast with it. It feels nostalgic of the classic 90s animated series I grew up on while using the multiverse to bring fresh visions and perspective to a fan favorite character. Okay, great. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, next one, is an absolute thrill ride. The animation is incredible and storylines are unexpected and the action sequences are amazing. I've seen all 10 episodes and I can proudly say this is the must-see. This is a must-see for Spider-Man fans. Okay, that's really good. And last one, I was skeptical. This is one that speaks to me because I also was skeptical. I was skeptical of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, but I ended up really enjoying it. If never got sold on the animation, it's interesting, but it does almost everything else right. Love the fresh takes on all the Spidey characters and the writing especially. Best Spider-Man since Spectacular. Best Spider-Man show, I should say, since Spectacular. Okay, so in aggregate, in all, this is, I don't know if this is pulling every single reaction here. I don't know how many critics, frankly, got to see the film or got to see the whole series, but and so I don't know if this article from the Direct was intentionally not, pointing out the more negative ones. But at the end of the day, these reactions are very positive. It points to a very interesting art style that some people like, some people didn't. But most importantly, it seemed like people were attached to the characters. It seems like this is a very fun take on Spider-Man. And I think at the end of the day, that's all you can really ask for. So my excitement levels were not very high, admittedly, and now I think I'm mildly looking forward to this. I didn't like the trailers that much, but if this is just going to be an entertaining ride, from beginning to end, then sign me up. And so we'll see if we cover this, just depending on the first couple episodes. If I watch the first couple episodes and I'm like, oh, it's fun, but I don't think there's much to talk about, then we won't really cover it until the very end, probably. But 2 episodes coming out every single week, and it should be fun. So we'll wait and see how we feel about that. Guys, what do you think about the first critic reactions to Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man? And are you excited for the show now, or were you excited to begin with? Let me know in the comments down below.